Here we go with the week 23-1 intervention, comparing data sets and statistics. And we're going to be using a couple of terms here that we've discussed in class. We're going to be talking about the idea of medians. And the median is the middle when you've put them in order least to greatest or greatest to least. Once you've done that, you're working with the median. And the other term that's going to pop up here is mean. So the mean is what most people think of when they say average. Median is also an average, but average of, or average from, let me change that. Average from adding them all and then dividing the sum by how many numbers you had. And then the last term that we're going to see is the term range. And range is largest minus smallest. So when you take the biggest number, take away the smallest number, you get the range. So it wants us to circle all the statements that are true. Statement A, the median is a better measure of central tendency than mean for the salaries in Company B. When we talk about measures of central tendency, we're talking about averages. And we're talking about what type of average is going to give us the best piece of data, the piece of data that tells us the most about the situation. So for example, if you look at Company A, everybody's salary is fairly close. You know, you've got the highest paid guy in the company, the CEO, makes $735,000. The lowest paid person in this group, the COO, makes $698,000. That's a difference of $37,000. That's pretty close. You look at B, the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, makes $1.3 million. Whereas the lowest paid person, the VP of Technology, makes $685,000. That's about half as much. So for A, this is going to be a true statement. Taking the middle of the group, and they've already put these in order least to greatest, taking the middle of the group, if somebody said to you, gosh, what's the average salary at Company B? That's going to give you a better average than taking the mean and adding them all together. And the reason it's going to give you the better is right here, this thing that we call an outlier, the piece of data that doesn't fit the rest. So anytime you have a big outlier, medians will be better than means. All right, question B, the median salary for Company A is smaller than the mean of the salaries for Company A. Well, to solve this, we're going to have to do some addition. So let's get our calculator out. Let's first figure the median for Company A. We want to put them in order least to greatest. Now I could number them, or I could write them all out, but I'm going to use the table since they're all nice packed in here. I'm going to use the table. Here's the biggest salary right here. That's number one. Then if I go through, here's the next salary, and here's the next, here's the next, here's the smallest, and the number in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 3 tells me that that's the median salary, $718,000. Now I'm going to figure out what the mean is. So I need to add them all together. So 735,000. Now you'll notice they're all in thousands, so I'm just going to add the front part, and when I'm done, I'm going to put the 3 zeros plus. 698,000 plus 705,000. You can see right up here on my calculator, this is the nice thing about a two-line display. When I'm all done, I can check my numbers and make sure I got everything. Plus 718,000 plus 732,000. Before I hit equal, I want to make sure I had the 735, the 698, the 705, the 718, the 732. Hit equal. I get 3588. Remember, I need to add 2 zeros to that, or 3 zeros to that, excuse me. So the mean is 3,588,000. There's my calculator number plus the 3 zeros. Now, that's not the total mean, though. You're saying to yourself, hold on, that doesn't seem right. Well, you're right, it doesn't seem right, because remember, we have to divide that by 5, by how many there are. So I'm going to take that answer, and I'm going to divide it by 5, and I'm going to get 717,600. Now I'm ready to answer the question. The median was 718,000. The mean is 717,600. That's all money. So that answer is false. All right, let's put our calculator down here for a moment. Check out the next question. The next question says, the median for B is larger than the mean for B. Okay, so we need to figure out those two things for B. So the median we just did right here. That's the median salary. So we need the mean salary. So we're going to clear a calculator out here. And we're going to do the same thing again. 1362 plus 758 plus 703 plus 691 plus 685. There goes the school bell. Plus 685. So I get a total of 4,199,000. I'm going to divide that by 5, and I get 839,800. Now, remember I said that the median was a better average? If somebody said, what's the average salary? And you said, oh, it's 839,800. That's bigger than everything on this list except the CEO. So it really doesn't give you a good idea of the average. So the question was, the median for B, median 703, is larger than the mean for B. That's a false statement. And finally, the range of the salaries. Well, the range, remember, is largest minus smallest. So for A, that range is 735,000 minus the smallest, which is 698,000. And that's a difference of 37,000. When we get to B, we can see that that range is quite a bit larger. When we get to B, excuse me, that range is 1,362,000 minus our smallest number, which is 685,000. So 1,362,000 minus 685,000 equals, wow, $677,000. The range of B is definitely bigger than the range of A. All right, there's your first part of this. So we've got one more to go. This is going to be a long video, but take your time to go back, look this over before you check your answers on part 2. Check this out and make sure that you understand what you're doing, and then you can check part 2's answers. Here we go with section 2. Okay, so here we go, part 2. And this has 6 different questions. And we're not going to worry about these quartile questions, C and F, because we haven't talked about quartile in this respect. So you can just ignore those 2 questions. Part A, the median is a better measure of central tendency than the mean. That's going to be true, and that's true again because of this outlier. It's the outliers that throw things off, and when you see big outliers, you want medians, not means. The median for A is larger than the mean for A. Well, let's find out. This is the median right here. We know that this outlier causes us to have an elevated mean. So we know that that statement is false. And if you added all of these together and divided by 5, in fact, let's just go ahead and do that very quickly because we've got calculator power here. We can do that pretty quick. So 1,261,000. Let's do that again. 1,261,000 plus 778,000 plus 733,000 plus 697,000. I'm telling you, I know it's right, but I'm going to prove it. Plus 689,000 equals 4,158,000. Divide that by 5, and you can see that the mean is 831,600. That's bigger than everything except the CEO's salary. So B is false. All right, moving over to D. The median for A is larger than the mean for B. Well, we can't solve that without knowing what the mean for B is. So company B, we're going to figure out their mean salary. And to do that, we're going to add the salaries up. 755 plus 728 plus 708. Notice this time I'm adding just the front parts, and I'm going to add those zeros at the end. Plus 714 plus 739 equals, so I've got 3, 6, 4, 4, and then my 3 zeros. So I'll put that in my calculator. 7, 6, 4, 4, 0, 0, 0. Divide that by 5, and we get, divide that by 5, and we get 728,800. That is the mean. The median for A is right here, 733, so that answer is false. And then finally, the range for B is greater than the range for A, and that's also false. And we can see that without doing any of the subtraction work. We don't need this calculator. This goes between 1,261,000 all the way down to 689. That range is huge. That range is $600,000 almost. Where here the range is 755 down to 708. That's much narrower. Anytime you've got that big outlier, it's going to make the range a lot higher. All right, there's your video. You're ready now. 23.1. If you have questions still, come see me.